Joe Ledley, you're back for another one. Neil Taylor's joining you this week. How you doing, boy? Start with Neil. How are you? You okay?
I'm right, thanks. You must be paying Joe for this, then. He was his second one.
He just loves it. He
That's
can't
true.
have enough. Do you know what I mean?
Love it. Nothing else to do, mate. Boredom.
Honestly, this is therapy, innit? All the Zoom calls, they're all therapy, mate. Everything.
Yeah, it's the way
It is
forward.
good to talk, they say, Neil. So, Joe, you are
It's
back,
true, mate.
but you're feeling a bit ropey, yeah? You've maybe got
Yep.
potential Rona going on, or just a hangover.
I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I was over, well, I had a 40th birthday on Friday, Mark Hudson's, and I don't know if it's a 3 or 4 day hangover or what, but hot and cold sweats all the time. I don't know if it's just the alcohol trying to come out of me, but I had a good time anyway.
How late did it go?
Gone 4 a.m. Gone 4 a.m. That's for sure. And then I had a few more on the train on the way home. So it's what it is.
Hey, Neil, Joe was telling us last week he enjoys leading the party. Can you concur with that? That Joe's always leading the line when it comes to a party.
I can definitely concur with that. Um, he's he starts and finishes it normally. Although I have seen him tail off early sometimes, but that's because of the amount of consumption, really. But yeah, he's to be fair, I like a dance, but not as much as Joe when the alcohol kicks in. So yeah, I can vouch for that one.
Yeah. Hey, quickly before we're going to get on to Cardiff and Swansea later on, but how are things going up in Middlesbrough? So it's far away from kind of South Wales where the derby's going to take place, isn't
It's far away from everywhere, mate. To be honest, but I think
it?
like yeah, honestly, it's been really good. It's been really good to be fair in terms of like it's still a big football club, and everyone knows it's a decent sized club in the Championship. Um, and then just like I've said it previously, that Chris Wilder was the pull for me. Like lads, you'll have played against his teams down the years and stuff, and me as well. Like they're always a really, really good team, really tough to play against. And I just wanted to see what it was all about, really, and work under him, and got half an eye on sort of coaching going forward as well when I end up done. Me and Sol Bamba are going on the pro license together, actually, but I just wanted to learn really, and I've not been disappointed. I've really enjoyed it up here, and in turn, I think we've got a little good go at the playoffs. I know there's 10 teams that probably say the same thing, wouldn't they? But I think we've got half a chance, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember speaking to you, Tails, didn't I?
Say that again.
I remember speaking to you when we done BBC together, and you
Yeah.
were unsure what was going on, what's going to happen. But for me, it's great to see you back playing and in the Championship because you were thinking about going abroad as well.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, mate. I mean, yeah, we both spoke about that, didn't we? It was like it's a really, really strange time for us, Geraint, the older players, in terms of the pandemic's hit at a certain time. Clubs are going down a different route, um, and I think it takes certain types of managers who want certain types of players in the building to want you really to get you in. I think like Leds will tell you, and it was the same for us. And you sit there thinking like you're watching football, thinking you could definitely affect this, you could definitely be playing in this. Um, but the pandemic has had a massive say. I don't think people should underestimate how big a say it's had on football below the Premier League. Actually, the Premier League will always be its own bubble, but below that, throughout football, it's had a massive say on football clubs. I've seen clubs change like drastically from the inside, in terms of like budgets and funding and staff and all that sort of stuff. Um, so it was a tough couple of years. It was never a good time to be out of contract. Obviously, like we're fortunate being lads that are older that have had half decent careers anyway. But there's been lads in their mid 20s and early 20s who face the same stuff. So yeah, so definitely I'm glad to be in at the football club of a stature of Middlesbrough and actually playing. Yeah.
And that's interesting that because I think as a fan we wouldn't have thought about that. Do you know what I mean? With how budgets change internally as such. So do you players will you have a chat about that and think, oh, my contract's kind of coming up in a year. I'm worried how COVID will affect my deal.
Yeah, like I said to you, like I think like we're a little bit older, and I probably care less to be honest in terms of that side of things. In terms of like what's your deal going to be and how much you're going to earn, this, that, and the other. Like there's no once you get to 33, 34, like myself, like the scope to go and earn more money isn't necessarily there. Like you're
Yeah.
not going to go and earn 4 and 5 year deals at 34 unless you're Ronaldo probably. But I think so it's different for us. But I guess if I was a lad that was in my mid 20s or early 20s, it would definitely be a different picture now for them Unless, of course, like I said, you're playing in the Premier League and do well. It's definitely a different picture for them guys on the outlook of their careers at the minute. Just hopefully it can recover, mate. But a lot of these clubs don't get the TV money. They've relied on the gate receipts, right? And we've had nothing for a year, basically. So these clubs have had no income. And I can see they're all trying to claw it back. They really are trying to claw it back. And how long that'll take to recover fully, I don't know. I don't know, mate. Don't know what you think, lads.
Yeah, it's difficult. I think, like you said, with the Championship and below, I was at Newport and I spoke to the chairman. They're lucky, actually, because they've had such good FA Cup runs. That sort of financially helped them. But I'm surprised with these, especially these League Two teams, how they survived, and what's going to happen in the next few years, and how they're going to be paying certain money back. But for me, it's just good to be all over this now and hopefully get back to reality, because football is by far the greatest sport for me in the world, and I think as well it's shortening a lot of careers, like you said. For me, I think I could have maybe done another year or two, and you can see in a lot of other players as well sort of retiring, because there's nothing much out there for them. Like you said, they've been into the Premier League, they've done all this, but they don't really want to take that drop, and it's hard to sort of find that manager who believes in you at that certain age. And that's why I said it's just great to see, especially you, Tails, being back in it at your age.
Yeah, it's true, mate. And the thing is with that as well is that when you get to like our age as well, there's way more decisions to make than just what football club am I going to be at and what level am I going to play at, in terms of like you've got families, you've got kids at school. You were talking about maybe up and moving and uprooting, and and then if the clubs have not got big budgets, then is it worth moving everybody in your family to somewhere else, or this, that, and the other? There's way more to take on board when you get a bit older. So I think, listen, it's not a boo-hoo story at all. I'm just glad to be back in football. And I think we're very fortunate to do what we're doing. But I think, yeah, for sure, football's looking a little bit different at the moment, outside of the Premier League, for sure.
And how's the coaching going, Tails? Because me and you were on the A and B license. You've completed it, haven't you?
Yeah, done, mate. Done. I think I'm the only one. I don't know whether Ash has crawled over the line yet or not. But I think I'm the only one done, because I managed to get onto the pro as well. But there was non-committal, Geraint, to that course from a few, to be fair.
Name some names.
I think well, all of them. I think basically there was like a realization that like,
yeah,
wow,
Tails needs to explain what the course and what sort of went on, and what it'd be interesting.
Yeah, so like obviously you have contacts where you meet up and we all get together and we do a day's workshop type thing. There's quite a few of them to do. Pandemic obviously hit. A lot of it went online. There's a lot of coursework involved, and a lot of time on the grass that needs to be spent coaching to get to a level. And you've got to really, really like or really, really want to do it. Otherwise, you literally, for some people, there's no interest there in terms of going back to like the basics of football as well. In terms of like you've done a million sessions in your life, then you've sort of got to go back to the start and explain yourself and why you do this and why you do that. But the process is there, because like Led will tell you, like when you're there actually presenting it to people, it's way different to just what you know in your head about the game. You almost have to be like a school teacher in terms of you have to be able to teach people and portray it and put a session on and do all of that stuff. And it can be quite scary, actually. I think sometimes you've got to be like a certain personality sometimes to do it as well. And quite a lot of our lads, I mean, I thought the admission fee alone would get them to complete it, but even that didn't work. Like the boys just like, FAW, you can keep the money. We'll finish it when we finish it.
Is this kind of a hint that Joe Ledley maybe wouldn't have been the best person in school?
You'll have to ask Joe.
That's why I got no GCSEs, Geraint. I got no chance trying to complete this course.
You must have some, lad, surely. You got none?
The school wasn't for me. I was one of those just sat at the back, wasn't interested. I had other things to worry about. Sort of just getting on school in time and make sure I just eat and get home.
Make sure I eat. Do you know what? The other end of the spectrum, though, is Joe Allen. Probably got straight A's at school, double clever, and I think he's struggling with it as well, to be honest, in terms of he just messaged me. He said, "Tales, whenever you get something," he said, "I'll come in and be your analyst. Just let me know." So he's like, he's just like, that's not for me, that bit in terms of coaching and that. But yeah, FAW are getting loads of people through. Yeah, I mean, Patrick Vieira and Arteta, right, are two recent ones that are now managing the Premier League. So I think, and that is one good thing. And one thing I would say for the FAW, it's a very, very good course. The way they've set it up and tailored it and allowed a lot of it to go online, because of like the new world we live in now. Being able to do a lot online and Zoom calls and stuff has been good, to be fair.
Speaking of FAW, how much did you enjoy the game? Led, I know you were in the studio. Like, mate, you missed the best atmosphere ever in that stadium the other night when Wales won. Did you enjoy the game watching it, though? I know you were kind of slash working as well.
It was unbelievable. Like you said, you could, being sat in front of the TV and watching it, you could sort of feel the atmosphere just building up. And it was always going to be him, didn't it? It always had to be Beto to finish it off and win it for us. But, credit to these young players coming through as well is, because we sort of lifted this nation from, being ranked over 100 to leaving it where, especially me and Tails were in the semi-finals of the Euros, and to step in with, a lot of pressure on young shoulders. I thought they've been absolutely fantastic. So, no, credit to Robert Page. Obviously, like they say, the old school, it's only, half time at the moment. We still got one game to go, and if whoever that's against, it's going to be an even better atmosphere, I'm sure.
Where did you watch it, Neil? Where were you watching it?
At home, mate. Yeah, at home, on the sofa. I mean, I was asked to work it as well, but I couldn't get down there without it to be at Middlesbrough the next morning. So that is like a proper cross country trek. So I couldn't manage to do it. So I watched it from the house, and it's just amazing. And the best thing about it is you sit there and you're like, the feeling they're getting, what they're going through. Like, we've experienced it. We know how big a high it is. So to see them doing it is great. It's unbelievable. And then obviously, like Led said, I mean, it's Gareth again. I mean, I texted Alan Nil after the game. I said, "Listen, welcome to the special Welsh nights and that." And I said, and welcome to Gareth Bale, just getting us through it once again. And he was like, he couldn't believe it, the standard of the free kick and stuff. He was like, unbelievable. So I think he's the difference, right? It's been great.
Oh, I mean, the amount of people I heard, when I was leaving the stadium saying, "I love Gareth Bale. I absolutely love him." Do you know what I mean? And that free kick, it was possibly the best free kick we've ever seen, right, from a Welshman in a Welsh shirt. Giggs, the Romania campaign when we lost Romania in '93, that was a good one. But I can't think of a better one before or after that.
No, you're right. I think, I think it was unbelievable. He just keeps doing it. I think, like, when you look at football, that's what quality costs you in it. It's 80 million, £100. If you want people to decide football games, I was saying to someone the other day, like, Welsh as a nation, Wales, we're quite on par with most other teams like Austria, Switzerland, Slovenia, Slovakia, like them sort of teams on them levels. Ukraine, like we're probably the nations, aren't we, that were below like England, Italy, Spain, and all them. But we've got one or two players who could produce moments of quality that maybe the other sides haven't got. And I mean, that showed in the game again. The biggest difference, I thought Austria started really well. And then that happens, and I think they sort of had a realization moment as well. As it's like, we haven't got anybody that can do this. They knocked on the door all night, but they couldn't finish. And I think he's the difference once again. And I think the long term question is how do we replace him? I think we've got a great group of players there anyway now, which is great. But I guess they only come along once in a lifetime, right? Them type of players anyway, maybe.
Yeah, Joe, what was your thoughts on Bale and that free kick? Have you seen a better one? Can you think of one that's kind of up there? Because it was no chance for the keeper.
The only one I can think of is Ronaldo at United years ago. I think it was against Portsmouth. But like I said, you couldn't place it any better. The keeper had absolutely no chance of saving that. Do you know what? I was sat there in the studio. I was thinking, he's actually due one. And that's no disrespect. Yeah. He's actually due a free kick because we know what he's capable of doing. We've seen it in training, but. I thought for Wales, they actually defended very well. I know they had that chance. They got lucky in the first 7 minutes, I think, when the guy's gone through. And Nico Williams actually gets a deflection, which, hits the bar. But, a deflected goal, you can't do anything about that. But, I think that's what the downfall has sort of been with Wales is sort of that defending, especially from set plays. But I thought the whole team worked hard. Rambo was running around non-stop because he hasn't played for a long time. But Joe Rodon as well. He was solid at the back.
Yeah, do you know what? We could speak about Wales forever, but we've got to speak about Cardiff Swansea a bit as well, guys. So it's a massive game. I suppose both teams have had poor seasons. Let's be honest about it. But both set of fans will want bragging rights who finishes higher up in that championship table. Joe, first of all, you're a Cardiff boy, no doubt about it, through and through. So when I say South Wales derby, like what are the first things that come into your mind when you think about kind of Cardiff versus Swansea?
Oh, it's massive. I just can't believe it's on a Saturday at 3 o'clock. I don't know why it's
Yeah,
it's still not getting the coverage that it is. But there's a lot of hatred actually between. I've played in other derbies, but there's a lot of hatred between Cardiff and Swansea. Even from a young age where you're brought up. You're brought up to dislike Swansea, and especially when you're playing against them in the youth cups and stuff like that. It's a massive rivalry where everything goes out the window and you just got to try and get one over your rivals. And like I said, with Swansea in that position now, when I still didn't even know this fact where they haven't done the double is bonkers. I don't even know how many years it is, but for Swansea to be in a position, I'm just hoping Cardiff at home, they've got that sort of momentum at the moment with the likes of how they've been playing. I think it's 4 or 5 unbeaten Cardiff, so I'm just praying that just don't lose a game. That's all Cardiff need to do. And like you said, 2 of them are probably underachieving this season. But I think the flip side with Cardiff, I think the recruitment's been fantastic in January. So that's the only positive for me.
you scored down in the Liberty as well, didn't you? I can't remember what year it was, but was it 2-2 that game in the end?
Yeah, 2-2. Yeah, I remember getting absolutely abused all game. Absolutely, because I was a Cardiff boy as well. They couldn't stand me, and I remember one fan was actually. I took a throw in. There's a coin hit me on the back of the head, and then he said, "I know where your address is," and he actually said my address in the crowd, and I was like, "Oh my days, this is weird." My full address on Fairwater. I was like, well, that is strange, but. Yeah, I managed to score, and then I run and do the Ayatollah, and I don't think that sort of went down well with the fans. But for me, I think since the Euros has sort of died down now, I don't think the rivalry is nowhere near as tense as what it used to be. I think sort of that together, stronger with Wales is seen this rivalry a little bit different to definitely back in the old days.
Did you go down as a kid and watch your matches and watch kind of Cardiff Swansea?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, at Ninian Park, saw a few. Didn't really play them as much as obviously we have over the last few years. But yeah, I went to one in Ninian Park. What a stadium! I loved it. It was just so intense. You could hear everyone just so close to the pitch and just had that unbelievable old school atmosphere about it.
And we'll come to you in a second, Neil. But like your family are also Cardiffians as well, Joe. So like, what would they say to you like before that game? They must have been like, Joe, whatever you do, just don't lose, please.
Yeah, that was it. Do not lose. And if I did, then they wouldn't drop me a text or they wouldn't speak to me probably for a while. That's for sure. It's not just my family, but my friends as well. A lot of them are passionate Cardiff fans, season ticket holders, and they definitely tell me how much it means to them and make sure that we can't lose to them basically. And we did lose them a few times, and I've just never got a text from them at all.
It's harsh, that, isn't it? Neil, what about you then? Like, when I talk about kind of Cardiff Swansea, is anything that comes to mind for you? Because I think like Premier League clashes, kind of, because you were playing in Swansea Premier League, weren't you?
Yeah, no, honestly, everything Led's is saying is true. It's like you're doing it for the people, basically. I remember, like, if you won free taxi and that, I'd ring the taxi guy, I'd be like, yeah, this is free. It's on me, like, and then if you'd lost, you'd text and they'd be like, oh, I need a lift here? No reply, nothing. Like, I can't get anything. So I think, like, the people are like that. Like, you go to, like, your local bakery and all that stuff in the town and all that, and people are a bit different. And it's like, it's bragging rights in it, because for them people as well, they're working with each other every day. And that's what makes a derby, really. I think the games are brilliant. The derby is bigger than people think. Anybody who's played for Cardiff or Swansea will say to me, like, that derby's pretty big, isn't it? And they don't realise until they're playing in it. I agree with Joe. I think since the Euros, I think that's mainly because also Swansea and Cardiff haven't done great in that period in terms of, if these were two teams now that were fighting in the playoffs, it would have double spice in it, and would mean a lot more. Whereas at the minute, it feels like both are in a bit of a transition. And like Led said, I think the pressure's more on Cardiff just because, again, no one's done the double. I remember we talked about it when we played against them, and Bella scored at our place when they beat us at our place. We beat them at theirs, and I think, I don't know why it just never happens. I think it's that fear of losing that stops it happening. But Swansea won the first one really comfortably, but obviously Cardiff are a completely different outfit now, in how they play and how they've done recently with form. So I can't really call it. Both teams are too indifferent. Their forms are up and down. But I'd probably go for a draw if I was going to say anything. Just 'cause I think it'll be tight and cagey, and no one will want to lose it because there's not much left to play for in the season. If you lose that one as well, it's going to be a tough crowd to please for the rest of the season. But yeah, for sure, like unbelievably good derby, some great memories. Like Ninian Park's a great one. Even the Vetch, I think people tell a lot of stories about the Vetch at Swansea. I find them old school stadiums are way better. Even when you get to play in them now, they're a much better atmosphere. So I think, we'll see. I don't know. Are you working the game, Joe?
No, I'm not. I'm actually might be going with Christian, so I'm waiting for him to get me some tickets. I'm going to take my boy, so he's 4 at the moment. So yes, it's an interesting one for him to go and attend and watch. Is Cardiff Swansea.
He's going to hear all sorts, isn't he? He's going to hear all sorts. He'll be repeating it back in the house, shouting
Get
it.
some headphones in for him.
I remember I took my lad, he's 7, I took him to Man United Villa early in the season. He was going, he's a Liverpool fan as well, but I took him because it was Villa and it was at Old Trafford and he wanted to see Ronaldo and all that. And he was singing that UNITED song in the kitchen when he got home. He's obviously swearing at the end and that.
Yeah.
Mum was like, what's going on here? But it's mad, isn't it? But
yeah,
the kids love it.
You know, you were talking earlier about that guy who knew your address, Joe. Like, Neil, when you're playing, how much of that abuse do you actually hear? Because for someone who's working in stadiums at time to time, like that crowd really do hone in on certain players. Like wherever you go, Neil, now if you come to Cardiff, they'll be calling you Jack, all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, I took throw-ins my whole career, so I just get it every week, full stop. Usually get the sheep shagging one no matter what, every single stadium around the country. But I think, you do hear everything. It's quite funny, actually. It spurs you on. I don't think people realise sometimes for footballers, it actually spurs you on a bit more, gives you a bit of energy and a bit of oomph and a bit of I'll show you type thing. So I think it has the adverse effect, but yeah, certainly when a coin's hitting you, that's a different matter, innit? And your address is getting read off. That's like, I'd be thinking, I wonder if the house is safe right now while I'm here. I don't know.
You should have ran back to that guy after you scored and said, I've moved house, by the way. Do you know what I mean? Something like that, just to have it back at him. But
yeah, I know. I was moved out. Yeah, at the time. Yeah, it was just a weird experience. Just didn't know. I just didn't get it really. But like Tail said, it's one of those where you just think, you know what? I'll show you now what we're capable of doing, whether there's a tackle or a goal. But we've always had a lot of hatred over the few years between each other, especially myself. But I used to thrive off it. I loved it for some reason.
There's also tension between you feel it when the teams arrive in the tunnel and the comms teams meet each other. You feel the tension between them. It is one that everyone involved in the clubs know how important it is for them to actually win the match. So how do you explain that to foreigners? Do they get it? Do they understand the rivalry, or do they have to play it first to understand?
No, you can feel it 100%. You can feel it. It doesn't matter which game you're playing in. I played in the Villa Birmingham derby and all that, and lads obviously played up in the Old Firm. You can feel, you can just sense the crowd are different. They're louder before the game. The stadium's full earlier. You're warming up and it's already full. All little things outside the stadium, there's way more people again there for signing stuff, and as the bus coming in or whatever, it's there's a lot of different. You notice there's obviously more media there, more cameras. It's way different to any other game in the league that year. So yeah, no matter who you are, you'll definitely feel it. Like you said, when you're in the tunnel and you felt it, they'll definitely feel it. I think it's nervous energy more than anything before them games, between the lads in terms of, like we said before, just don't lose it really.
What were the local boys, the Swansea boys, Neil, like Joe Allen and that? What were they like before a derby game?
Honestly, just the same, really. I mean, Joe was much the same. Like Tatey had a bit to say. To be fair, Alan Tatey, he's obviously Swansea through and through, and he down there and still lives there and was part of the staff on that. So he always had a bit to say in terms of getting people up for it. And Gary Monk at the time, but yeah, people like Joey. I mean, Joey's obviously come through the system at Swansea, but I mean, he's an angry man in any game he plays in anyway. So he would play the same no matter what. But yeah, obviously for the locals again, like Led said, Led knows way better than me. When your family's involved and they're fans and everything like that, it's a different kettle of fish altogether.
What do you reckon the score is going to be then, Joe? Because it's a tight one to call, isn't it? Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, you know what? I think like Tails just mentioned it then, I would take a draw all day. I'd just be happy with a draw, to be fair. Or maybe a 1-0, but you know, Swansea do play some lovely football. They've always had that in their club and the system and the way they set up. You know, I don't think they got that much of attacking threat, but it's a difficult one. I'll take a 1-0 as long as the double's not done. I think that's important. I think it means quite a lot now to the fans because it's been going on for so long. And obviously being at home and don't be walking out of that stadium with a defeat because you know, the fans will be absolutely raging. But I reckon 1-1.
1-1. And you, Tails, are you sticking with a 2-2? Desmond 2-2?
Yeah, I'll go 1-1, 2-1, something like that. Definitely 100%. If you lose, you come off worse. They neither have had a great season. So if you lose this fixture as well, the last sort of 8 games for them could be pretty tough. So I think it's a don't lose game for both of them. So I'm going to go for a draw, yeah, definitely.
Okay. Can you go out in Cardiff? I'm going to ask you the same, Joe. Can you go out in Swansea? Like, if you went out on a night out in Cardiff City Centre, as in, you know, a few beers, Neil, like, what kind of reception do you get? Do people recognise you and are they like, hey, you used to play for Swansea?
I've got to be honest, hopefully, me and Leds can go out anywhere in Wales and it'll be all right.
After the Euros,
yeah.
Surely.
You'd like to think so. I think Leds would get a bit more attention in Swansea, I think, than possibly me. Obviously, I played for them, but Leds is a Cardiff boy, so I think it'd be way more difficult. If he was down Wine Street and that, it would get attention. I think I might get a couple of shouts at me. Well, I have done actually on a few Wales night outs, but nothing really bad. I think Leds would have a tougher time than me.
Have you been down Wine Street, Joe?
Yeah. If I have, I've never ever been out in Swansea, and I don't intend to. To be fair, I don't know what sort of reaction I'll get. Last thing I'd want to do is sort of be in a mix of a fight. So I've never been to Swansea. Obviously, apart from playing, but. No, I would actually like to go down that sort of way because I heard it's quite nice, especially the Gower. But yeah, it doesn't. I couldn't take the family down in Swansea. I just don't think it'd go down well. Even though what we've achieved together as a nation, but you just never know. Do you? All it needs is a few people to have a little drink and get a bit rowdy. So I'd leave that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Not worth it. Safety first and all that, and you got a warm welcome. You got a free bar everywhere in Cardiff anyway, Joe. So you're fine with that. So. You stay where you are, mate. Boys, thank you. I mean, you sat on the fence, both of you, a little bit with your score predictions, but that's fine. Thanks for joining us today, and let's hope we get plenty of goals as predicted.